Eala didn't set out to change the industry. She just wanted to play tennis. But her rise has exposed the gaps, the biases, and the missed opportunities that have defined this sport for decades. American sponsors are reacting, not out of charity, but out of necessity, because the world is watching, and the world is bigger than they thought. What happens next is up to Eala, but one thing is certain.
So here's what just happened. Major American brands were reviewing their projections. And suddenly the numbers didn't make sense. Because a Filipino teenager just shattered every expectation. Alex Eala wasn't supposed to command this level of global attention. Not this fast, not this loud, not this disruptive. But in a sport where marketing pipelines are carefully constructed years in advance, one breakout moment forced a recalculation. And now, the industry is watching closely. Let's be clear. Eala wasn't invisible. She was highly respected in serious tennis circles. Junior Grand Slam champion, Rafa Nadal Academy product. A player development insiders had tracked for years. But there's a difference between being respected internally and being positioned as the next global commercial face of the sport. That machine, the endorsement engine, the brand forecasting, the next superstar panels, tends to move cautiously, favors predictability, established markets, familiar media narratives, built-in consumer bases. Eala didn't fit the traditional commercial blueprint. She grew up in Manila, in a country where basketball dominates headlines. Tennis infrastructure there isn't comparable to the United States or Western Europe. There isn't a deep, decades-old pipeline producing top 20 players every generation. Her path required something different. She trained at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Spain. She won the 2022 US Open girls title, a legitimate signal to anyone paying attention. She developed against elite European prospects. The foundation was there. But what couldn't be fully projected was the cultural response. When a player emerges from a nation of more than 110 million people, one that hasn't historically had a single star at this level, the momentum isn't gradual, it's explosive. And that's what caught people off guard. Because commercial strategy in tennis has long leaned on established markets. The US remains massive. Western Europe remains dominant. Eastern Europe has built consistent pipelines. These regions are predictable in terms of viewership, sponsorship alignment, and consumer behavior. Southeast Asia, that's a different growth curve. When Eala steps onto a court, she's not just representing a ranking. She's activating a national audience that's been waiting for someone to rally behind. That changes engagement metrics overnight. Suddenly, social media impressions spike. Broadcast interest expands. Regional sponsors take notice. Global brands reassess market penetration strategies. That's not panic. That's recalibration. And here's the bigger shift. Tennis is no longer sustained purely by its traditional power bases. The sport's long-term growth depends on tapping into emerging markets. And Southeast Asia is enormous. Eala represents that door opening. She doesn't break conventions because of appearance or background. She breaks convention because the global audience is diversifying faster than the sport's old promotional assumptions. The blueprint is evolving. And what makes this moment so interesting isn't just her performance. It's the ripple effect. If she continues progressing, if the results match the momentum, brands won't hesitate. Global companies follow attention. They follow numbers. They follow influence. Right now, the numbers are speaking. The real question isn't whether the tennis world noticed. It's whether they're prepared to fully embrace what her rise represents. A more global, less predictable, far more interconnected era of the sport. And that shift, just getting started. The expectation was reasonable. She'd become a solid tour professional. Maybe crack the top 50. Win a 250. Build a respectable career. But not a commercial disruptor. Not a market mover. Not someone capable of shifting global attention patterns. That's where the miscalculation happened. While traditional sponsors were focused on established pipelines, something else was building. Quietly, steadily, regionally. Eala's matches weren't just drawing tennis fans. They were drawing national audiences. Viewership numbers from the Philippines were surging. Engagement wasn't isolated to Manila. It was spreading across Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam. A region with hundreds of millions of people was beginning to feel represented on a global tennis stage. And then came the match that changed the conversation. On paper, it wasn't supposed to matter. A second-round clash at a WTA 500. Eala outside the top 100. Facing a former top 20 player. Scheduled on a smaller court. No prime broadcast slot in the US. Low expectations. But the first set went to a tiebreak. Eala took it. Then she broke early in the second. Suddenly the underdog narrative wasn't theoretical. It was unfolding in real time. She saved break points. As she stepped inside the baseline. As she ripped clean winners under pressure. Something else was happening thousands of miles away. Sports bars in Manila filled up. Watch parties multiplied. Social feeds exploded. The official stream, which typically sees modest early round traffic, spiked dramatically. The comment sections flooded with Tagalog, English, and flag emojis. Filipino pride wasn't subtle. It was loud. When she closed it out in straight sets, her reaction was controlled. A fist pump, a focused expression. No theatrics. But the moment traveled. Clips spread across platforms within hours. Highlights trended. Public figures from the Philippines began posting about her. It crossed the line from good win to national moment. And that's when the broader industry started paying closer attention. Not panic, recalibration. Because when engagement metrics from a traditionally underrepresented region begin rivaling, or in some cases surpassing, expected early round engagement elsewhere, it forces questions. Who is this player? How strong is this audience base? What's the long-term potential here? Marketing departments study data before they move. Social teams track growth curves. Sponsors analyze regional penetration. And the numbers told a clear story. There is demand here. A young player winning one match doesn't change an industry overnight. But it can reveal untapped markets. Can expose blind spots in forecasting. It can signal that tennis's next growth phase may not look like its last. Eala's breakout moment wasn't just about beating a higher-ranked opponent. It demonstrated that global interest in tennis is evolving. The sport is no longer confined to its traditional commercial comfort zones. And when new audiences show up loudly, consistently, and digitally connected, the industry adjusts. Not out of panic. Out of opportunity. Brand executives weren't just watching highlights. They were studying spreadsheets. For years, demographic reports on Southeast Asia had sat in presentations labeled long-term growth markets. Promising. Interesting. Not urgent. Now they were urgent. The Philippines alone represents more than 100 million consumers. Southeast Asia collectively, over 600 million. And tennis engagement across that region had been trending upward, quietly but consistently. The data hadn't been invisible. It had been deprioritized. What no one had fully committed to was developing or recognizing a player who could authentically connect with that audience. Till now. Because Eala wasn't just generating attention. She was generating convertible attention. The kind that translates into merchandise sales, regional broadcast leverage, brand loyalty, grassroots growth. The kind of attention that built Nike's long-term dominance around Serena Williams. The kind that turned Naomi Osaka into one of the highest-earning athletes in the world. And for some brands, the uncomfortable realization was this. They had passed. Reports suggest at least one major athletic company held an internal strategy session within days. The core question wasn't complicated. How did we miss this? Not because she wasn't talented, not because she lacked credentials, but because her market had been underestimated. And once serious money starts moving quickly, things get complicated. Within 72 hours, industry chatter intensified. Multiple global brands reportedly contacted Eala's management, not with finalized contracts, but with serious interest. Exploratory conversations, availability checks, long-term positioning discussions. Nike, which had reportedly evaluated her years earlier, was rumored to be reassessing. Wilson, already aligned with her, began discussing expanded partnership visibility. Other major lifestyle and performance brands started running projections. This wasn't a coordinated recruitment. It was competitive recalculation. Marketing teams were revisiting old scouting notes. Analytics departments were modeling Southeast Asian revenue curves. Legal teams were reviewing accelerated endorsement frameworks. The atmosphere wasn't panic. It was urgency. And hovering over all of it was a recent historical lesson. Naomi Osaka. When Osaka won the 2018 US Open, she had sponsorships, but not reflective of her dual market impact across Japan and the United States. Brands were slow to grasp what they had in front of them. A multicultural, multilingual global superstar. By the time they adjusted, her valuation had skyrocketed. No one wanted to repeat that delay. Because if Eala's rise wasn't a one-match anomaly, if it represented a sustained regional movement, then waiting even 6 months could mean paying double. But here's where the narrative shifts. Because while corporations were modeling upside and calculating exposure metrics, there was still a tennis player at the center of it all. A young athlete whose job was to win matches. And when commercial momentum accelerates faster than competitive momentum, scrutiny follows. Questions start forming. Is the hype ahead of the results? Are brands overcorrecting? Is this organic growth? Or opportunistic marketing? The match may have ended in straight sets. But the real test, balancing performance, pressure, and expectation, was just beginning. And this time, the spotlight wouldn't be limited to a practice court. Here's a tightened, more polished continuation that keeps the intensity but sharpens the logic and credibility. The industry had learned an expensive lesson in the past. They were not eager to repeat it. But there was one complication no brand could easily solve. Eala's team wasn't interested in a fast bidding war. Not immediately. Behind the scenes, they reportedly made one thing clear. This wouldn't be about short-term cash or logo stacking. Any partnership had to align with her story, her roots, and her connection to the Philippines. They weren't going to let her become a checkbox in a diversity report. They wanted substance. And that's where the tension began. Because as corporate interest accelerated, public skepticism rose just as quickly. On social media, fans started asking uncomfortable questions. Where were these brands when she was winning junior titles? Where were they when she was grinding through qualifiers? Why now? The phrase, diversity grab, began appearing in comment sections. Critics accused sponsors of opportunism, of reacting only after her audience proved profitable. They argued her value was suddenly visible not because of talent, but because of measurable revenue potential. Others pushed back. This is how sports business works, they said. Sponsors invest when return becomes clear. That's not exploitation, that's capitalism. The debate intensified. And through all of it, Eala remained publicly silent. Her team did not. In a carefully worded statement, her manager addressed the growing frenzy. Alex has always prioritized performance over publicity. We appreciate the recognition she's receiving, but we're selective about partnerships that reflect her principles and her community. This isn't about maximizing a moment. It's about building something lasting. Professional, controlled, but unmistakably firm. It signaled that they understood exactly what was happening. Brands weren't just evaluating a player. They were evaluating access to a region. And her camp wasn't going to surrender leverage without intention. Instead of calming the conversation, the statement amplified it. One side became fiercely protective. To them, Eala represented long overdue visibility for underrepresented athletes. They feared her story being reduced to marketing strategy. The other side argued that idealism was unrealistic. Sports and business are inseparable. If her rise forces sponsors to invest in Southeast Asia, if it creates pathways for younger players in the region, isn't that progress? Editorials followed. Podcasts debated it. Analysts dissected every angle. Some praised her team's caution. Others warned that hesitation in a fast-moving market can be costly. A few dismissed the entire controversy as symbolic theater, discussion about representation without structural reform. Then a former top 10 player added fuel to the fire. In an interview, she remarked, "I think Alex getting this attention is fantastic. But honestly, if she had a different appearance or represented a different country, she probably would have secured these partnerships years ago." The timing tells you a lot about how the sport operates. The quote went viral, framed as support but also as indictment, because it forced the conversation towards something bigger. Tennis has long struggled with equitable representation. One breakout star doesn't erase systemic imbalance. Eala still didn't respond publicly. Privately, sources suggested she was exhausted by the noise. She didn't ask to become a case study. She didn't campaign to symbolize structural change. She wanted to compete. But her success had exposed a fracture in the industry, a gap between where tennis claims to be global and where it actually invests. And once that gap becomes visible, neutrality disappears. Sponsors had to decide how genuine their interest was. Fans had to decide whether to trust corporate motives. Media had to decide whether to celebrate growth or critique the system. And at the center of it all stood a young athlete who had simply won a tennis match, and unintentionally started a conversation far bigger than herself. Here's a sharpened, elevated version that keeps the cinematic tone but makes the transformation feel grounded and real. But here's what almost nobody was talking about yet. The real transformation wasn't happening in corporate boardrooms. It was happening on courts. While online debates raged about sponsorship motives and market strategy, something quieter and far more powerful was unfolding at ground level. Tennis academies across the Philippines began reporting record inquiries. Junior programs filled faster than expected. Kids who had never picked up a racket were asking their parents about lessons. Schools started replaying match highlights during assemblies. Local sports shops saw noticeable increases in entry-level equipment sales. And this wasn't isolated to one country. In Indonesia, in Malaysia, in Thailand, interest in tennis was rising in ways it hadn't before. Not because of a global champion from elsewhere, but because someone from their region was competing on that stage. For years, the Asia-Pacific region has been labeled one of the fastest-growing sports markets in the world. Badminton and table tennis dominated culturally. Tennis existed, but it wasn't central. Western brands assumed that Asian audiences would simply follow whoever was winning globally. What they underestimated was the power of identification. Naomi Osaka proved that in Japan. Her success didn't just inspire players. It reshaped how tennis was marketed, broadcast, and consumed domestically. Sponsors learned that representation multiplies engagement. Seeing someone who shares your background, your language, your heritage, that connection can't be replicated through advertising alone. Eala was beginning to create a similar effect in Southeast Asia, but with even greater structural implications. Japan already had strong tennis infrastructure, corporate backing, established tournament presence. Much of Southeast Asia does not, which means the upside isn't just commercial, it's developmental. Brands began noticing the early signals. Wilson reportedly saw a surge in regional sales tied to her equipment. Limited apparel linked to her appearances moved quickly. And she hasn't won a WTA title yet. One sports marketing analyst put it bluntly. If she wins a Grand Slam, she doesn't just become a tennis star. She becomes a generational market anchor. That's the financial side. But culturally, something even bigger was happening. Junior players from the region began speaking more openly about access gaps. Local federations started lobbying for more international tournaments in Southeast Asia. Fans challenged broadcasters for prioritizing Western stars while undercovering emerging regional talent. Eala didn't manufacture this momentum, but she became its symbol. And whether she asked for that responsibility or not, it's now attached to her name. So what happens next? Several paths exist. She could sign a major global endorsement deal and become the face of a worldwide campaign. She could hold firm for partnerships that give her creative control and community investment guarantees. She could focus almost entirely on performance and let the commercial side move quietly. Reports suggest negotiations are active. Multiple brands involved. Not just financial proposals. Discussions around influence. Some companies are reportedly open to letting her shape messaging to reflect her community and values. That level of autonomy is rare for someone at this stage of their career. But she isn't a typical case study. There's also speculation about long-term philanthropic plans, initiatives aimed at developing tennis access across Southeast Asia. If that materializes, it shifts power dynamics entirely. Instead of waiting for corporate infrastructure, she could help build it. But none of this comes without risk. Expectation grows faster than rankings. Every loss will be dissected. Every dip in form will be amplified. Every setback questioned. Professional sport is unforgiving. Momentum can fade. Narratives can shift. And industries that celebrate quickly can pivot just as fast. Yet here's the key distinction. Even if she never wins a Grand Slam, even if she never signs the largest endorsement deal in tennis history, the conversation has already changed. Sponsors are re-evaluating regional investment. Young athletes across Southeast Asia see a pathway that felt unrealistic before. The idea of who belongs in global tennis feels slightly less narrow. That shift can't be undone. Eala didn't just win a match. She made overlooked markets visible. She made representation commercially undeniable. She exposed the gap between tennis's global branding and its historical investment patterns. Whether this is the beginning of a legendary career, or simply the spark that ignited broader transformation, remains to be seen. But one thing is clear. Southeast Asia is no longer invisible in the tennis conversation, and the sport will have to adjust accordingly.